Okay, hello everybody. Thank you once again for joining another conversation on eruption. Today I have Osinachi Akanegbu with me, and Osinachi basically talks about career as per year, the career that you go to office, career and life, right? For people. And we're having this conversation with Osinachi today because of her very different path as a career coach, I would say, right? And I'm sure we'll explain that. And she explained that herself, like what I mean by that, as we have this conversation. Anyways, Osinachi, thank you for joining us.
Thank
Thank you
you very
for
much.
all right. We'll just start off with like basically who you are. So who is Osinachi?
Okay, I'm Osinachi Akanegbu and I'm 20. I'm 20 years
Mm-hmm.
old, though I'll be 21 soon. Yes.
Okay.
Almost 21, a month less to go. So I can't hide under the 20 privilege again. So
Uh,
basic I'm a female and I'm a student, a final year student in Lasso Lagos State University. I am a career coach in that I help people advance their career and equally gain clarity in the career clarity coach. Moving on.
what state? What state are you from?
Okay, I'm Igbo. I'm from Imo State.
All
I'm
right.
from Imo State. Thank you very much.
What primary schools? Also, what primary schools and secondary schools did you attend?
Okay, I went to Celestis, International School. It was a very private school. It was a day school. I did not do
Very
boarding.
private school. That's so
Yes, basically it's very
okay.
private, like very, very private.
Okay.
So and I did not do boarding because it was very close to my house. That
Uh,
was why.
all right. So you say you're 20-year old and you are a career coach. Like those two things for a lot of people will sound like two ex polar opposites.
Yeah, like
How is a
and
career coach?
they feel like they feel that it's even just relates to something I said recently. The truth there is that many people are very advanced than their age. So the concept of experience, people feel that you need to like hit a certain age before you can do some certain things, and they fail to realize that some people are well learned enough to be able to achieve those certain things, even way, way beyond the age needed. I
Okay.
for one I've worked, like I've worked constantly. I've worked on many jobs, both online, both remote, both on site. I've
Mm-hmm.
done more jobs. And I feel that I'm well capable to like handle career issues. Now, why did I start? Why did I become a career
Yeah,
coach?
a 20-year-old person. Yeah, Gen Z by all standards. And you are interested, like it, yeah, a career coach.
It just
In
does
this
not sum
Nigerian
up,
generation
right?
of Gen Z, the math is not math.
Yeah, I found myself loving the professional world even from a very small age. Most of my clothing, most of my clothing actually are basically professional clothes because I tend to embody what I say. I'm not someone who just like speak and the action does not really match up. That kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So most I tend to like embody what I say. So I love professionalism. If you find me, you find me dressed in professional clothes. If you're going to find me outside, you're going to see me dressed in professional clothes. And
So
that's
Osinachi, if I say Osinachi, there's one club we're going to at night to like Friday,
I'm
Friday night.
I'm
So,
a
so
Gen
I'll see you in corporate
Z.
suits
Are
and
you kidding me? I'm a Gen Z. We have the spirit. We have the spirit of fun. Like it's always there in us.
oh, but the
It's
clothes will not
actually
be
in the
corporate.
spirit. Eh?
Will it be corporate? We used to wear corporate.
You just reminded me of a time where I was supposed to go for an outing. Unfortunately, it was meant to be casual. But I looked straight into my entire clothes and I just said the casual clothes. I just put on my professional clothes and I went there and I was like looking very odd because everyone was dressed so casually. And oh, that's an aside though. But
Uh,
basically, as the situation calls for it, as the situation calls for it, you have to dress the situation. But most often than not, I always prefer to bring my professional clothes and with my best shirts.
all right. So some people have pajamas, Osinachi has corporate clothes.
I see how pajamas. Are you kidding
I mean,
me?
like some people's like comfort clothes is their
Yes.
pajamas. Like,
Yeah, you could equally call that my comfort clothes if need be, because I find myself more comfortable. I find myself more confident in professional clothes. Now, professional clothes is not the only embodiment of professionalism. It has to do your carriage, it has to be the manner you talk,
oh,
it has to do with your it has to equally has to equally concerned with the way you speak to people, how quick you're able to produce results, your manner of approach. There are numerous things that go down into professionalism, and clothing is just like a little bit of it.
okay. I love that both of us, right, are in the same generation. So we're going to talk about this like from a very good angle. First of all, like, what is professionalism?
Okay, professionalism is when you put it that way, it sounds very weird now.
Oh, which way
It
now? Which of
sounds
them?
When you put it that way, it sounds very weird. I could quote a definition. I could quote a definition from Wikipedia from you, or I can just give you like a simple breakdown of what professionalism basically is to
No, but like
me.
to you, and like based on your interactions with so many different people, and like being a career coach to so many different people, like what do you
Yeah.
normally address as professionalism? What's the characteristics, or what do you look out for?
To me, professionalism is competence, actually.
Confidence,
Competence.
Okay, okay,
Yes. Your ability to be competent or ability to be skilled at
okay,
whatever you're doing.
all right,
You can't deliver a subpar job and expect to be known as a professional. No.
okay, all right.
So to me, professionalism is competence.
Perfect. So I would like to know like your journey because a lot of people follow you on LinkedIn, and like link, like you can't get more professional in social networking than LinkedIn. This is, it is it for networking professionally, right? And like I think you have like about 60,000 followers. Like,
Yes, I do.
how did you start like
Okay.
talking about career to such an extent that so many people like are listening on career talk?
Okay. The truth there is that I was very, very intentional about that. In that, plus the fact that I've not gotten my degree from the university, it could cause a lot of misrepresentation. So I was very, very careful to like toe the line. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, you see this, you see it's listed there. And I'm still a student. Now the thing there is that I feel that people always are always willing to like listen to the truth. People are always willing to listen to the truth and would follow you if you say the truth. So and if you give value, most importantly. So I started out giving value. I started out helping professionals highlight certain things that is very, very important for them to note. If you go to the first post I posted on LinkedIn, you'll find many of these things.
Yeah.
Over time, I didn't realize that the focus is always on what professionals should do. How about we look at another angle, a means in which the employers could equally make the workplace better for professionals who work in their workplace. So I'm in like, okay, this is this is my first of me releasing this here, releasing this on any space. But I was like preparing, maybe you could see like I'm actually preparing the workplace for the time I'm going to start in it.
Okay.
Like I'm the workplace I want when I actually
So you
reach
started
it.
having
So that
conversations
was
on the kind of workplace that you wanted to enter into, basically.
yes. I was preparing the
Hey,
workplace I
yes,
want.
sense.
Yes. So that was why I spoke out. Why is why I said speaking up on all these issues, which
Mhm.
were very, very necessary to the workplace. You observe that my conversation is not only targeted at employers, though most of it is, but you equally involve sometimes I hardly mention the colleagues, I hardly mention the professionals themselves, and I also work on the issues faced by many professionals in the workplace, and the way I could equally help or contribute my little quota in alleviating those issues. And that was why I started out. And luckily for me, people seem to like it, and they gave me a follow. So I built like a very little family or a community on LinkedIn.
All right. So but like when you started out, right, is
Okay.
I don't know, kind of like catharsis, more or less. You are writing to like, well, like you're wrestling with this idea that okay, one day, especially because you said you're studying law, right?
Okay.
In LASU.
Okay.
So I kind of like wrestling with the idea that okay, one day I'll be in a place that will be so professional, like we'll have drama, right?
No, basically, wherever human beings are,
Uh,
there's always bound to be drama. There's always bound to be politics. There's always bound to be issues because these are things we humans are made of. Just like when you rub two iron together, there's bound to be some friction. So
mm,
when people are together working in a place, there's always bound to be friction. But what we can do is at most is try to create an environment where even if such tension or friction arise, it is immediately resolved and does not have an impact on the result or the work to be done. You understand, right? And does not equally affect the mental health because the mental health is very, very crucial in this point in time.
all right. So now, like now, it makes a lot of sense to me, like your approach, because now I believe that you're Gen Z. Like now I believe. Like the reason why you gave now makes sense, right? Because like you're trying to enter the workplace and you're like, I want a better post, like I want a better environment. So I'm trying to
That,
create environments before. But I
yes,
want to ask first, did you expect to become a like that followed so influential in this space? Or it was just like, let me just do this and like do it,
it
or like
was more
I
of a
intentionally wanted to become
it was more of a let me just do this and
okay.
just do it. The after effect was like it was something that was like so I never started out with the intention of becoming an influencer or becoming well followed on the space. I just started out with the intention to like contribute my little quota and people apparently enjoyed my little quota and they and luckily for me they really followed me and which is something that and I was very consistent. So I'm going to contribute that to one of the results or the reason I got that was followed. I was very very consistent with doing that because when you put your mind to something, you must make sure you always finish it. So
Right.
that's why.
So okay, like so before we come to the Gen Z factor,
Okay.
like what kind of content exactly do you tell people about? So when you're talking about, career and
Okay.
professionalism, like what exactly are you telling people? Like just
Now,
let people
now
hear.
when it comes to that, what I was trying the first when I started out, I was focusing only on what the employee should do,
Mm-hmm.
what the professionals themselves should do, and
Mm-hmm.
how they should do it. But then I realized that okay, some of these professionals are very, very limited in what they can do, in
Mm.
that the environment for them to actually do these certain things is not there.
Okay.
So I then shifted my focus from what the employee should do to what the employer should do.
Mm.
And and from the review, actually, I do get many messages, and some most times persons who are employers come to tell me that oh, this is how everything is, and this are some of the changes I've implemented, which have given me more results,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a big win to me because this is something that I really want a workplace where people can like given an opportunity to make or give their best or contribute their best water.
Mm.
You understand, right? Okay. And I think I missed the second part of your question. Please, could you
Oh,
address it?
Gen Z factor. I've not yet gotten there, yes, but I wanted to
So
like
not that you mean you mentioned two things in
uh no, like, so I mean, I just asked like, what exactly it is that you write about, right? Like the kind of
okay,
content.
It was me actually. I had something to say. Yes. So and equally, I had equally on my LinkedIn, you will notice that I equally talk about philosophy and psychology in general. That is something that is very personal to me because I believe that how will I put it? Psychology, philosophy is very, very important for man to become better. So I put this little tweets. Sorry. I put this little screenshots of my tweet on my LinkedIn, and it's very, very helpful in that many persons equally love it, and it's my only tool of educating people outside the workplace. So it's not just my LinkedIn is not just focused only on workplace alone. My LinkedIn is equally focused on life as in general.
Okay, nice. Now let's get to the cocoa of today. For me, right, which is that, like the issue of Gen Zs. I've spoken
Okay.
to so on our podcast, right, we have had different founders and some chiefs in positions, right, in
Okay.
their companies, right. And nearly all agree that Gen Z, like there is
You
an
guys should leave us alone.
yeah, there is an issue with managing them. One, there's an
Okay.
issue with their professionalism. Like, so there's an issue with even like how you need to relate with them because even though yeah, there's a standard in place, right? But because like they are not too rigid or they were not built rigid as far like they might not want to wear your tie every day or they might not want to do like some certain task every day or like get you a cup of coffee every day, right? So they're just something things that like kind of like the barrier is changing a bit. Maybe it's not reducing, but it's like shifting form, is shape shifting to
Yeah.
other things, right? So as a Gen Z yourself, knowing very well, because a lot of the things you talk about are traditional professional ethics, right? And traditional professional tips, right? So how will you now, if you're in a room and everybody there were 22, 21, 20-year olds, right? How exactly will you talk about professionalism to them? Like, what exactly are you going to tell them as regarding this topic?
I think you think basically I think people are like I think people are like painting Gen Z black. Like
Wow, what,
they're
sorry?
really painting Gen Z's black.
Okay.
They're painting them black. Because the Gen Zs I know are very hardworking and are willing to give their best efforts.
Osinachi, wait.
Wait, no, I think
Wait,
that's
that,
not the same
calm down, calm
thing.
down. Don't go take her, come and tell me that, nobody's poor now. My friends are not poor, right? So, I mean, like, the people you know might not be a good representation of, like, the entire
Okay,
population.
okay. How about we put it? How about we put it this way? There's a new approach to work, and the older generation are not getting it.
There's a new approach to work, and the older generation.
Yes, it's a new approach to work.
All right. What is the new approach to work?
The new approach to work means that people should be allowed to work on what is their passions,
Mm,
on what fuels the energy.
mm-hmm,
You can't expect them to like come on, you have seen their parents, or we have seen our parents.
mm-hmm.
Our parents are going to work for over you don't use the word 100 hours, but then our parents are going to work for so long and they come back looking also tired and everything with no time for themselves or the family. And then at the ending, they're still going to be, the company they're killing themselves for are not even caring a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So the Gen Zs have realized this and be like, oh, I'm just wasting my time. And so not be, no now don't get me wrong in that many Gen Zs are very, very dedicated and willing to do the hard work.
Okay.
But equally consider we are growing up with technology and there are many, many ways of doing things easier.
Mm-hmm.
What matters is that we get the job done,
All right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the concept of working physically if a company insisting on your physical work is very, very complex to me because I can be at home and get the work done. What matters is that the work gets done.
This is
My
the Osinachi, like what you just stated, right? Because like the traditional professional, first of all, like you that is like so, like you said that one of the reasons why you came so attracted, right, to professionalism and the work culture is because of dressing, right? I mean, so a lot of things change when it's remote and then when
yeah,
it's in the office, right?
yeah,
So I think professionalism in the office, in my opinion, is different from professionalism at home. So how will you now talk about so how you now that talks about professionalism, how exactly do you want how will you explain these two angles, right? When I'm in the office and when I'm working completely remotely, like from my house, like what does it mean for me to still like ensure that my relationship with you is on check, right? And that like the culture, the work culture that we've created or built, right, is also on check, right? Because physically interacting and then not physically interacting are two separate
Yes.
separate things.
There are two different things. I won't deny. And that is where the concept of adaptability comes in.
Okay.
That's where the concept of being able to adapt comes in. The future of work basically is remote.
Mm-hmm.
And why that's not an issue with many people, you have to consider that Gen Z is either they want the soft life or they tend to like bring their they tend to bring emotions or they tend to bring like a subtler approach to work. Now,
Mm-hmm.
someone like me, I enjoy working physically. But when we consider it, you find like it's very, very stressful. So if there's an opportunity for me to work physically, I
Mm-hmm.
would work physically. You
Mm-hmm.
understand, right? But then I want to have the choice
Mm-hmm.
to choose between working physically and not working and working remotely. The choice needs to be there. Like you understand, right? Because many persons want to work remotely. Come on, man, like you know how Nigeria is.
Mm-hmm.
We all know how the traffic is very crazy and how
I mean,
everything.
Lagos. We know how Lagos is. Yes.
It's not shade Lagos,
That's
but
different.
this shade Lagos.
No, I mean Abuja is becoming like that slowly. So you guys are going there. But I mean, like, Lagos is not like Nigeria when it comes to different.
Please give Lagos a go, please go.
All
But
right.
seriously, we all know how okay, we all know how Lagos is. And since Lagos is like the hub, the economic capital of Nigeria, we
Mm-hmm.
all know how painful it is or how stressful it is for many people.
Yeah.
So want to have the opportunity, want to have the choice necessary. You understand, right? The choice is the ability to choose is what is important here. We
Yeah.
don't want to shove down our truths.
Okay.
Want to have the ability to like be able to choose. Come on, you're one. You should be able to relate to this. You exactly we know.
No, no,
I don't
yeah,
want
like
to have. I don't
I'm
want to
just
have someone.
listening
I don't want
from
to have someone come tell me that you must do this. You must do that. Okay. I just want to. I just want to be able to like have the option to choose that. Oh, do you want it this way or do you want it that way? And to me, that's the whole essence of everything. So and basically work has changed in many and that's thing to point out is that before previously work was based on the number of hours you put in.
Mm,
Now work is based on the results you're able to produce.
okay.
Yes. That was why people were like focusing so much on being in time to work. And no, work basically is what the results you're able to produce. So the fact you can stand at home and like close deals, give a satisfactory report, or do things that are very, very helpful to the company is like very, very is what is important, what is essential.
Okay. This is a very interesting juncture we have reached. The hours versus productivity or results,
Yeah,
right?
that is
And
something that is very people believe that hours was productivity, whereas results is productivity. And that is something that Gen Z was able to like identify early enough. The fact it took 10 hours to do it does not mean that you should be paid sorry, don't get me wrong. The time you put in no, I was thinking of that quote again. I was thinking of that quote again.
okay.
The time you put in to do something
Uh,
does not really matter as much as the results you get.
yeah. Okay.
What even if you're able to do it within 10 hours, you're able to do it within 1 hour. What matters is that it is done.
Mm-hmm.
So many millennials, like use the word baby boomers, they see it as because Gen Zs are able to like do tasks more efficiently, they see it as if Gen Zs are like lazy. Whereas all they just learned, all they learned was an efficient way of doing tasks.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you, let me tell you, the truth. Many of these employers, if you notice is that, ask them if the Gen Zs are actually producing results.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be surprised that almost 90% of them are producing results.
Mm-hmm.
What's their bone of contention is they are not producing the result according to the stipulated way. Now, this does not mean they're going illegal or anything, but they're not following this. They're not following the set down rules to follow to, and but the result is being produced. You understand, right?
So two
Yeah.
questions here, right?
Okay, let me just say this one thing. I do not lie or I do not ignore the fact that some Gen Zs are lazy.
Mm-hmm.
some Gen Zs are lazy.
You said
But
it first.
like every like every generation, we
Uh,
have lazy Gen X, we
yeah,
have lazy millennials, we have lazy baby boomers. So you can't tell me that some Gen Z's being lazy is like you then project everything on us.
yeah.
You understand, right? I do not know if some are lazy, but that does not mean that every person in the Gen Z is lazy. Some are more efficient with doing tasks, and
Okay.
that's just the difference. So please go ahead.
All right. So you said something very interesting in the sense that for Gen Z's produce, I mean, they're more efficient in products, like in results, right?
Okay.
Or they find ways to be more productive, so they
Yes,
don't
the find ways to be more
spend
productive.
more hours, right?
Okay.
That is one. So I mean, like, they are challenging the status quo, right? And from the conceptual understanding of, okay, based on your definition, professionalism still exists, right? But
Completely.
like competence, exactly as you said. But like from a traditional Nigerian employer and an employee perspective, right? Like, you not doing how the employer says it, you're disrespecting, or you're not like, that is a break in the work culture, or that is a break in professionalism, right? Do you think that a lot of employers care more about the process or about like the results that you give them, especially in Nigeria?
Number one, look at this. That's one thing. The truth there is that there should be there should be a balance between the two, because following instructions is very very necessary, and producing the specified result is very very necessary. If I ask you to do A in so way, and you do A, then that way. Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
It equally boils down to, was the method you use illegal? If you use an illegal method, then it's very very wrong. But if you can give me a definition, if you can give me a reason why doing A in so that way is better than
Mm-hmm.
doing A the recommended way, is something I'm going to go with. You understand, right? And then I do not undermine the fact that there's need for respect.
Okay.
There needs to be respect in the workplace between both parties. The employer should respect the employee, and the employee should equally respect the employer, for there to be like a balance, and for there to be coordination of activities. But what I'm trying to say is that if at any point in time, what matters more should be results.
Okay.
The traditional way of working is the traditional way of working.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the older method of working.
Yeah.
And the earlier people adapt to the new method of working,
Yeah.
the better it is for everyone involved. You understand, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like you trying to operate a new computer on an old operating system.
Okay.
You're going to just end up wasting much of your time, your resources, and energy. You
Mm-hmm.
understand, right? We're in a new era of work.
Mm-hmm.
Things are done differently. Are you
Okay.
trying to like insist on the old methods? It's like you putting new wine in an old skin bag.
Yeah.
And we all know what happened to both the new wine and the old skin bag. Some of
Mm-hmm.
them basically they don't really go well. You understand, right? So the
Okay.
earlier the employers adapt to the new method of remote work, the new method of work in general, it's going to be better for every person involved. But do know that there should be a balance and there should be respect. I do not undermine the need for either of those.
Okay. The second thing I wanted you to talk about, like, what does career now mean in this generation? Like in the past,
Okay.
career was literally a track. Like,
Okay.
if you enter accounting to kingdom come, you retire as an accountant. If you
Yeah.
enter chemical engineering, you think kingdom come, like you will be a
Okay.
chemical and you
Okay.
retire.
I do think I wrote it down a definition.
All right.
Okay. Okay. So basically, according to Wikipedia, sorry, according
Uh,
to Wikipedia, actually, though I
uh,
heard you can't quote Wikipedia, according
mhm,
to a friend of mine, so a career is an individual metaphorical journey through learning, work, and other aspects.
mhm.
Career is something you are, is part of your identity. And
Okay.
before the traditional method of career is that you work as an accountant and you don't change being an accountant till you die.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, career is all about pursuing your interests,
Mm-hmm.
pursuing your passions. So if tomorrow I decide that the tech industry is for me, I'm going to transition to tech, and it's part of my career. So to me, career is like pursuing your interests in
Okay.
a way that you're able to grow, learn, and find your purpose.
So
I know. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, based on what you said, so does that mean that like newer generation of human beings or Nigerians, I would say, right, have more interest than older generations? Because if that's the case, right,
We are
like,
giving more choices.
eh?
Giving more choices. Basically, do you know that being an entrepreneur is equally a career path? Like,
Mhm.
career is not just limited to what you do within the four walls of a physical office and being under a person. Even being an entrepreneur is a career path. Like, choosing to start your own business is a career path.
Yeah, but
It's
what I meant
something.
by traditional was that like is just one thing. There's a particular focus on a particular thing, right? So if you were an entrepreneur, you just focus on probably building your business. But then like today we see, the idea, with the whole concept of side hustles, right? Like so somebody 9 to 5, right, is probably a marketer, right?
Yes.
Then the
And
next
then you can't deny the economic conditions. Actually, the economic conditions equally contributed to the rise of. So I think it's properly defined. They call it your 9 to 5. Come on, it's properly defined. Like we know how to divide it. They call it your 9 to 5. They call it your side hustle, which means they're doing it, two of them together. You're able to do it very very well. So to them are your careers. You understand, right? Your side hustle puts money into your pocket. It's something you do, and it's something you intend return into. Your 9 to 5 gives you immediate cash. Your side hustle is meant to give you like a big future in
Mhm.
like like, it's very intended to cash out from. So even if your 9 to 5 is not like paying very well, you have hopes that your side hustle is going to like blow. I'm using the word blow. It's going to like do you very well or treat you very well and become so successful. That's just the essence. And your ability to combine the both is called a career.
Okay. So based on what I understand you saying, like the change in career, so the change in how we view career in Nigeria, there's a large
I'm not just talking about Nigeria alone.
okay, globally, like around
Okay.
the world, there's a large correlation with economic conditions, right?
Yes, the change equally contributed. The change was equally economic conditions equally contributed to the change, in that people the paying power became very low, and people had to look for other means to like equally live up to the standards of life they want, and that's where the concept of side hustle came in. Thus, career has evolved from just being your 9 to 5 to equally including your side hustles.
All right.
Traditionally, side career was your basic 9 to 5, but
Mhm.
that was now it's called your 9 to 5, and your 9 to 5 with side hustle plus your pet projects like your volunteering, your NGOs, all
Mhm.
combined are your career is your career because it's something you do. It's part of your identity.
So okay, like for listeners here, I think the if you have understood career as one track, right? Basically, like no,
Yes, career has never been
everything
one
is
track.
part of your career.
It's not a
Every
track.
single thing you're doing is part of your career. All right, that's thank you for that, Osinachi. For for just bringing that explanation much proper. And then so basically on as we begin to wrap up, like employer-employee relationship, right?
Okay.
What's then I'm just talking. Please let's talk about the Nigerian perspective now. Only for Nigeria, right?
Okay.
What do you think like employers need to do, right, to enhance, as we understand career to be now? So, employers know today that people like your work is not the only thing that is in their life. Like
Most all employers know, not all employers can only see
exactly.
what you're
So like
doing, not
how
your own
should
work.
employers create from what basically like from your insight, from your learnings, and from your interaction with your followers and being influential in this space as well? How do you think like employers need to now start preparing themselves right? Because there's a new wave of people that are going to be part of the workforce very soon. Like, each year there are more and more and more, right? And like there are more, so there are more people that engage in more different things across the time. And and as we move each year, the people retiring are the traditional people that are just one track individuals. So like you're getting flushed into this system of individuals that are focused primarily, right, on doing different things, and that
Twenty.
defines their career. How do you think employers are to start to position themselves? How should they have relationships with employees with this kind of culture that we're building?
Okay, now this is something that I did not prepare to say. I'm not prepared to talk about this, but I'm just going to give my own personal perspective on this. Now, the workforce is shaking, and everyone knows it.
Mhm,
Everyone, like, as an employer, you always know your employee has a pet project going on. Your employee has a
mhm,
pet. It may not be a project, it may not be a company,
yeah.
but it's something he's doing on his own initiative.
Mhm,
So the first thing you have to do as an is just you have to focus both on an employer only, right?
mhm,
Okay. The first thing you have to do as an employer is to ensure that your work is done, and that is to protect your own interests.
mhm,
Stipulate it today that stipulate
mhm,
it in your agreement that your work should be done.
mhm,
And I think everyone who has a side hustle understands this.
mhm,
Give them the required agreement that your work should be done.
mhm,
Once your work is done, do not concern yourself with what else they are doing as long as it's not detrimental to your own company. You understand, right?
mhm,
The freedom should be there.
mhm,
Your work is priority. They should do your work. If they don't do your work, they get fired or they get suspended or something. But do
mhm,
not even tolerate incompetencies. Don't tolerate the company. What matters is that they do your work and they do your work well.
mhm,
Anything else they do in their free time should not be your business as long as it's not detrimental to your own company as a whole. If there
mhm,
isn't your resources, it's not really good. Two, what you need to do is treat them very well. Now
mhm,
you wonder why the concept of treat them very well.
yeah.
The truth there is that the way you treat your employees determines they're going to be using your Wi-Fi to build a software. Using your Wi-Fi to build a tech company.
Yeah, shaking
But
table. Oh. Also that
no, no, no.
tread
Seriously,
carefully. Some
the way
people.
you treat your Wi-Fi, the way you treat your employees. Sorry, let me just say that the way you treat your employees
Yeah.
determines if they're going to be using your Wi-Fi to build a tech company.
Okay.
And if you want to avoid that,
Mm,
you obviously have to treat your employees very well.
mm,
You have to treat them very well. If they're going to go with their customers, they will go with your client, and they'll go with important things to you. And besides, we're all human beings. Why do you want to treat someone less than you?
mm, mm,
So treat employees very well. It means they are more productive while with you. But if you treat them badly, you find that I don't know what to say. But if you treat them badly, you find that you're the one on the losing end because they're not giving you your best.
mhm.
They're not giving you their best, actually. So treat them very well. Theory. Are we above time?
No, no, it's okay. Like we're concluding now. So like lastly, what's like being a person so influential in this space, right? And like you're 20-year-old, right? I see you like what's is it Induka or something? The guy that's like Tony Tony Elumelu's mentee, I guess.
Okay.
Like so, like he's also a Gen Z person. Like I see him like doing like wonderful things in the space, being influential in
He's a
that.
very good friend of mine. Like we are friends and
Oh, you're already friends. All right.
we're friends. Like we're friends like for a very long time. We're
Oh,
friends for a very long time.
all
Okay,
right.
go ahead, please. What is
So
the
now I'm saying like
question?
you guys, for me, like you serve the roles like that, right? In the sense that you influence particular things, right? For example, he influences a particular sector of, like so for him it's like more tech and more like development issues, right? Like you are influencing like what career and what professionalism looks like, right? So you're kind of like leading that front from a very generational perspective, I would say, right? So,
Okay.
what do you think? Like, what would you like your future to look like as an influencer in this domain of work culture and professionalism, like especially in this generation?
Okay. Okay, I think I'm so funny enough for me, being a very ambitious person, I seem to have very low ambition about what my
Uh,
mental life should be like.
uh-huh.
Now, don't get me wrong, I do not see this as a one-time thing, but I think my deepest desire will be fulfilled if a person, if a work culture, if a company can be influenced by what I say,
Mm.
if a work culture can be changed by what I say. I
Mm.
think my deepest desire will be fulfilled. That's like my I'm not saying that I'm not making impact, but then I want to reach more. Let's change the work of things. Let's change the status quo. You
Mm.
understand, right? Let's change the status quo. Let's make things better. Let's make work better because many employees and many Gen Z are equally like me. They enjoy working. They enjoy
Mhm.
giving it their best shots. Some persons are not willing to set up companies. I don't know. I don't know myself. I may set a
Yeah.
company in the future, but currently I'm not. I'm just currently working on giving my best shots.
Mm.
That's what I do. Understand,
Perfect.
right?
Yeah.
So we have to ensure that my deepest desire is going to be fulfilled if I can contribute into quota and positively change a work culture and make people have better lives at work. Because you're not going to deny that our work contributes, if not 90% of our life. So why
Yeah.
should we go to a workplace where we are suffering, we're having mental anxiety,
Yeah.
we are tense, unable to speak out, yet we stay there over 90% of our time. So that's just basically the essence of what I'm trying to do.
Excellent. Sounds, like a part that is very intentional. Like, I mean, you say you're not ambitious, but like, there's an intentionality to what you're doing now, especially now, right? That I think is very critical. Because you know what you want. Like, you know what, like, it's the same thing as how you started off, right? You started off by wanting to be
But
that
like
kind.
I don't think any human being can say they know what they want.
No, no. Okay. It
I
depends the
don't think
context. It
it
depends the
depends
context.
though. But I
Yeah.
don't think that it okay. I think I'm
No, but
just
like
going
I'm telling you, like in relation to what you said at the beginning. So what you
okay.
said is like you started writing out the kind of work culture that you wanted to see, right? And that was your motivation. And that's what I mean by you know what you want. So like
Okay.
there's a particular kind of culture that you want us to have, and you're
Yes.
still focused on ensuring that that culture is, prime. Is like what we are entering into, right?
Yes.
And so
I'm
that
not
is what I mean by your intentionality.
oh, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And equally, you're doing a very good job by actually creating awareness by things like with podcasts like this. This is a very, very huge podcast. Like you're
Thank
doing
you.
a very, very good job. And in your own way, you're contributing your own little quota. And okay, I'm going to share this. A friend of mine told me this. A friend of mine, she said it went like this. See the world as a see the world like an ocean. People throw in different things. We don't know the one that is going to make the biggest splash, and we don't know the one that's going to make the smallest ripple. What matters is that we are throwing things,
Mhm.
and once at a point in time, your what you throw is going to be the biggest splash. And I think that's caught up with me, and I really, really admire it. So you're giving your best effort right now. You're throwing in your own effort into the ocean, and at a point in time, it may not seem as if the ocean is not making any visible signs of change. But at a
Yeah.
point in time, you're going to throw that effort in. That's going to be like the game changer, and everyone is going to like the marvel. So that's just my own little contribution. Sorry
um
about the background. I was not really prepared for
No,
this
no
background.
worries. No worries. Osinachi, like thank you for those words. I mean, like the team, like such a wonderful team that we have like an eruption. So, as you guys, as you're hearing this now, she said you're splashing into the ocean. All right. And finally, basically, I just want to know like what your Nigerian dream is before we wrap up.
My Nigerian dream.
Yes. If
I
it's
think
that part, just say it. Don't worry, don't be scared.
no, it's not. Well, it's Japan. Of course, it's basically Japan. I believe that. But my Nigerian dream
Mm,
is to put Nigeria on the limelight
okay.
for something very, very incredible, for something very, very positive,
Mm,
something very, very to put Nigeria on the. Well, I put right when I look at the work, when I look at the works of Shimamanda Adichie, when I look at the word of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, I get inspired.
Mm.
I get inspired by their actions.
Mhm.
And my dream is to put Nigeria on the timeline, put Nigeria on the limelight. So people see that Nigeria has so much talent to offer. Like I don't use the effort. That was I was trying to avoid using the effort. That was why I was very that's what I was like, so, but the people need to see that Nigeria has so much talent to offer. And
Okay.
my dream is to just put Nigeria on the
All right. I mean, you're 20, you have this influence. Like, guy,
timeline.
you have so much in front of you.
It may seem that it may seem that way, but let's know. I'm not. It may seem that way, but the truth is that we're all striving very hard for what we want, and we're
Mhm.
going to get it.
So you know what you want. I don't catch you.
We're all striving very hard for what we want, like, and we're going to get it. It's a giving. It's a giving.
Mhm.
It's like a giving factor, a constant factor. We're going to get what we want.
Okay.
So thank you very much for having me on this. Like,
So guys, that's Osinachi Akenegbu. If you don't know about her, go and check her LinkedIn. She gives advice. And I think her Twitter space also is like she talks a lot on Twitter and LinkedIn, right? And gives advice for work culture and professionalism. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you here. And like I
pleasure is
want to have
really.
like a point, probably like the next 2 years or like next 5 years. Where you're like 500.
Obviously, you won't be disappointed. You're going to surely hear this video, be like, "Oh, I interviewed her last 2 years ago, or last 5 years, and she just
No,
did
I want
this."
to have another one whereby like we're saying, okay, now see this, look at you said this at this particular point. Evaluating what you said with the Gen Zs now, is it correlates? Let's see. Like I also like, does the work culture has it changed in real terms, right? So like have employers adapted, this shift
No.
to allowing people, right? I think that having a conversation in the future about that and just evaluating over the years, right, will be very interesting. So let's note it down in our calendar. We have a future podcast session also.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you very much. I really appreciate you.
No problem, Osinachi. Thank you once again. And thank you everybody that's listening to this. We hope you had a wonderful conversation. And yeah, reach out to Osinachi if you have anything to discuss with her. Once again, thank you guys and thank you, Osinachi.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.